This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
Hello, football fans, and welcome to the Onside Kick. My name is Ricky Widmer, and as always, I'm joined by the Mark Weber.
Dub them ease.
And Mark, we've got a pretty jam-packed show, but before we get into everything, you doing okay today, bud?
Yeah, I'm doing great.
You doing okay?
I got here.
I mean, the Chicago Bears losing running back Matt Forte. You still feeling the pain on that? You still crying a little bit?
No. I mean, it wasn't the most surprising thing in the world. It was a little surprising.
It was surprising that it happened like, boom, that Friday.
Right away,
like, whoa.
yeah. You thought there'd be at least a tiny bit of negotiation, and then it was just, oh, this isn't going to work. You kind of figured it probably wasn't going to work out, but it was pretty quick. But you know what? Rip the Band-Aid off.
I got to ask you if you're doing okay, though, because the Bears are your team.
Yeah.
And I know if my Vikings lost to Adrian Peterson, I'd be devastated.
Yeah, but you know what? Matt Forte, you got to think. I mean, the guy's done great things, done wonderful things for the Bears the entire time he's been here. And he will definitely be missed next year. But next year wasn't going to be the year anyways. Mm-hmm. So it's a good time, I guess, to cut loose and figure out what's going to happen next. But also, you know, it'll be interesting to see what Matt Forte's got left in the tank in these coming years.
So you guys know that you can obviously tell that the first thing we're going to talk about is Matt Forte. Where's he gonna fit in? We may throw in there where the Bears move from him. It seems pretty apparent, though, that they may look to Jeremy Langsford for that answer. We're also going to be talking some NFL franchise tagging. And then our final section, we get to talk about my favorite player in the NFL, the All-American Kirk Cousins and the Washington Redskins and Mark. But we're going to start with your Chicago Bears, who we were just talking about a little bit. Matt Forte is officially gone. Two sides saying, you know what, we're going to move apart after 8 years. It was more the Bears, though, that said, you know what, thanks, Matt, but we're not going to re-sign you. I'm putting you in the shoes right away. Matt Forte, who do you want to go to? If you had your pick of the litter, you can go to any of the other 31 NFL teams. Who does Matt Forte want to play for?
Well, I do want to say off that I think it tells a lot about the Bears organization and what their timeline is, what they think they're accomplishing, how they feel they did in the draft and everything. And they think they did pretty well. Jeremy Langford, they thought he did a good job. And they think he's going to be a future. They also think that the future is not now. So that's why they let a guy like Matt Forte leave. That's why next year it's probably Jay Cutler that's going to leave. And then after that, you know, we should have a fresh new batch of all future Chicago Bears.
You probably made a ton of Bear fans, more so the older Bear fans, because as I've noticed anything about gauging the room when it comes to Chicago Bear fans, it's the younger Bear fans. I'd call us younger Bear fans, being late 20s, mid 20s. I would call us young Bear fans, where you, Dave from the Fast Break, you guys don't have a problem with Jay Cutler. But the older that you ask Bear fans, let's say like people in their 40s and older, hate Jay Cutler. Can't stand Jay Cutler, want him out of town.
Which is strange because they've seen so many terrible Bears quarterbacks. You know, I've seen a lot of terrible Bears quarterbacks, but I haven't gotten the full wealth of experience as someone, a couple, 10 years older than me has seen. They've had 10 more years of shitty quarterbacks.
Remember Cade McNown?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I remember when you guys drafted Cade McNown. Thought he was going to be, he's the one. He's the one to bring you to the promised land.
I remember when every other guy was the one who was going to do it. And yet every other guy was not the guy who did it.
But I was just saying, you were probably making their day just hearing that Jay Cutler could be the one to go.
Well, eventually he's got to retire,
season.
right?
Yeah, eventually he's got to go.
Yeah.
Does he stick around? I mean, this is a little sidetrack, but does he end up with the Bears for his whole career, or do you really think he's going to go?
You know, I think he'll go after this season. I don't think he's going to hang it up really quick. I mean, unless he really loves family life, because he's going to have, his third kid now? So he's really into the family life. So maybe that will do it. I don't really know. He's not like he's got a broadcasting career ahead of him or something like that. Although maybe he can, analyze film. He's a smart guy, but
not like Charles Woodson, who's already going to TV.
Yeah, he's not going to be the guy who, takes off the cleats and the next day puts on the suit.
Mm-hmm.
That's not going to happen. So I definitely think he's going to go probably somewhere else just to either be the stopgap quarterback, whether it's like a Fitzmagic situation where it's like, hey, we just want someone who's going to perform for a little bit, keep us in the running while we kind of figure out the quarterback situation. Or is he going to, go somewhere where he's going to be the backup to a better quarterback where, he's just like, he doesn't have to do very much. They just want him in case. He's the backup plan. It's one of those things I think will happen because I don't think he's going to hang it up in the next year, essentially. Although it would be nice to see him end it in Chicago because, a good, huge chunk of his career is being played in Chicago. It would have been nice to have Matt Forte end in Chicago too, but sometimes that type of kind of hopeful, feeling for the players doesn't happen. You don't get as many players anymore who just stay on one team forever.
Well, and we're going to circle back to Matt Forte because that's who we really want to talk about with the Bears. I don't even know why. I went into your Jay Cutler talk, but to me, the big thing, I know I asked you if you're Matt Forte, who do you want to sign with? But the one thing I think, you got to go to a team that's Super Bowl ready right when you walk into the door. And
that's why I think a lot of people are going to say New England Patriots. That's where you go.
Hey,
that's number one.
That's a team where I said it to Sean Anderson here at Most Valuable Podcast when that Friday when Matt Forte was like, okay, he's going to be done. I was like, hey, man, you may be getting the golden goose with him being a Patriots fan as well. Like, Matt Forte would be a great fit for a Patriots team that already has the franchise quarterback, has a pretty good receiving core. I mean, yeah, Julian Edelman's getting older, and Gronkowski, you need something else other than Gronkowski receiving-wise. But besides the offensive line, that team is pretty rock solid each and every year.
Yeah.
To me, it's either the Seahawks or the Patriots are you can step in and win a Super Bowl day one.
I mean, I think a lot of people think Patriots because his full wealth of skills will be utilized, obviously. Bill Belichick will make it happen. But I really think when you think about Matt Forte and what Matt Forte has experienced, the culture that he came into when he was drafted, the Seattle Seahawks are the team that make the most sense. Not only do you stay in the conference, and for some reason players have a love of their conference. You remember Peyton Manning literally saying, I'm not playing for an NFC team. I'm staying in the AFC. Why that matters, who knows? But, it's not like this is baseball. That, I think, will have a little bit of an effect. He doesn't mind cold weather, so either one will work, but it's a little colder in New England than it is in Seattle.
It just rains a lot in Seattle.
Yeah, you might as well go with a place that's a little bit warmer. I mean, the guy came from Tulane after all. And yes, they don't really have the big name guy in New England, but Seattle just lost a big name guy. Marshawn Lynch is gone. There's a big opening. They are going to be desperate. I don't think that Matt Forte has as much leverage with the New England Patriots, who they're going no matter what. They are going to probably be Super Bowl favorites from day one. Seattle Seahawks, there might be some argument about whether they are Super Bowl favorites or not. So he's got a little bit more leverage to say, hey, you just lost your number one guy. You really think Fred Jackson is the answer to your Marshawn Lynch question?
Thomas Rawls did great when Marshawn Lynch went down with the injury.
But Matt Forte is going to be sitting there going, you really think that is the one guy who's going to take up the mantle? Now, he can do a lot. He can sure do a lot, but getting Matt Forte in there makes that team a little bit more versatile, makes them a little bit better. You got Russell Wilson scrambling around out there. Don't you want a guy like Matt Forte who can catch the ball? And, how often does Russell Wilson need to buy time because his guys aren't open? Well,
my whole thing is, and with the Seahawks, my biggest question mark coming in is what is their plan for Thomas Rawls? Because he came in when Marshawn Lynch went down, he was the guy, and he had a game against the Bears, ran for over 100 yards, against the Bengals, 169, and a touchdown, over 200 yards against the Niners, and a 100-yard game in Minnesota against my Vikings. And right now, Thomas Rawls is under contract where he's going to be a restricted free agent in 2018. And right now, the money that he's going to make next year, $525K. That is effing cheap. So I know that
The Seattle Seahawks are the kings of cheap players.
and I know that you had just lost Marshawn Lynch, but if you have a guy like Thomas Rawls, who's going to be that cheap, you got him for 2 years. We were talking about last year how this team's got to spread the money around. And we had a lockout, or not a lockout, a holdout this year, basically because they had a guy in Cam Chancellor who's like, you know what, screw it, I'm gone. You know what, I'm going to hold out until I get the money that I deserve. That's something to me to where it's like, you know what, if I'm the Seahawks, if Matt Forte's agent even calls me, I go, hey man, thanks, but no thanks, because we've got Thomas Rawls, and he's cheaper than your guy.
But those guys, too, are completely different kind of running backs. Rawls and Matt Forte are going to do very different things. Where, Marshawn Lynch wasn't the 100% he's going to do everything, but he did a lot out there. I think you get both these guys, go a little bit running back by committee, because Matt Forte is not the young guy who's going to do it all on his own anymore. So he can't really do that. Either one of these teams, whether it's the Patriots or the Seahawks, he's going to probably be running back by committee. But I think he's got a little bit better odds in Seattle. And I think that it's just the team that he's more used to. It's we just had the LOB not too long ago.
Yeah.
Where does Matt Forte come from? The Monsters of the Midway. Mm-hmm. He likes a team that's got some good defense, that has that. I think that just, it's a little bit motivating factor. I think you go to a team like New England, you're in a different territory. You're in a team that's all about offense. Matt Forte, the last time you were on a team all about offense, it did not go well. Your head coach got kicked out. Your general manager got kicked out. New management came in. Not saying that really has that much of an effect, but, it's something that I'm sure pops up in his mind. Either one of these teams, I think, are going to be a home run for the guy.
Oh, it is. And I'm looking some of the big free agents this offseason that Seattle has to kind of think about. They've got Russell Okung, Bruce Irving, Jermaine Kearse, some of the big guys that one of those, I should say, on that defensive side in Irving that they need to get a contract for. Also, next year, they have coming up, Doug Baldwin's going to be up. You've got Steven Hauschka that's going to be up. I know the kicker, sometimes it's like, well, he's not going to be that much. But right now, I'm looking,
Ricky, you know how important a kicker is.
Hey, $8.5 million right now for Hauschka in that last contract. So that's not chump change that we're looking at. Rawls' contract, to me, out of the two, I would say the safe bet would be the Patriots, only because at running back,
Patriots are always the safe bet.
The running back, it's like, okay, you've got some running backs, but it's not like we're Seattle. They can go, you know what, we need to spread the money so many other places that Rawls could be the best choice because he's cheaper.
That because there's going to be a lot of money that has to go around, as we keep saying with the Seattle Seahawks, do you think they almost get into it's time to win now type of mentality of, hey, we're going to start losing a lot of these guys. We got to kind of, not necessarily start from scratch, but we're going to have to try and mimic what we've done before. So let's just get a guy like Matt Forte, really complete this offense. We've already got a great defense, and then we just have it to where we can win now. Because we've got the best offense now and the best defense.
It's weird because this year, I don't know what it was with the Seahawks. Early on, in my seasonal grade video, I said that it was the Cam Chancellor holdout, which is why they struggled.
He showed up
early.
And all of a sudden everything was great.
He showed up and everything clicked. So I don't know if it was really Super Bowl hangover or just you didn't have everybody that you needed to on the field. This is a Seattle team, though, that because of this year is in an interesting spot. Are you going to take the leap and say, okay, next year we're not going to have a holdout at the beginning of the year, hopefully, so we're going to get back to form? Or are you at the part where, okay, we fell down to a 6-seeded team, are we teeter-tottering to where we're going to be quickly flipped out of the playoffs? And I know Seattle Seahawks fans are typing ferociously right now in the comment section because I just said their team may miss the playoffs, but that's a situation where the Seahawks may be in because they have to spread the money around, because we don't know how many of their free agents they're going to keep. some other teams that I'm going to throw out there for you. And I'm looking right now at an NFL.com article that has 5 teams that Matt Forte could fit with. We named 2 of them, the top 2, the Patriots and the Seahawks. I'll give you the other 3. The Dallas Cowboys, the Baltimore Ravens, and the Green Bay Packers. And the most interesting out of those 3 to me, can you guess which one I'm going to say?
Dallas Cowboys?
No, I'm going to say the Baltimore Ravens.
Really?
The reason being is, I know they have Justin Forsett, who did well, broke his arm week 11, and then it went on to Taliaferro. But the last time this Ravens team was really good, they had a running back like Ray Rice. Mm-hmm. So maybe Matt Forte can come in, be a better back than Justin Forsett. And the Ravens, because the Ravens and Cowboys to me are in the same situation. They have a high draft pick this year, but they're going to be one of those teams that we have a high draft pick this year, but then we're back in the playoffs next year. It could work like that easy because both of them had injuries, and that's why they struggled in 2015.
Do you really think that Matt Forte wants to go back on a team that has Mark Trestman on it, though?
No. That's the only reason why I would say no, he doesn't, is because of Mark Trestman.
Yeah, he remembers Mark Trestman. He remembers him very well. And I'm sure he's not thinking too fondly of those days.
See, in the quote that from this article that was written by Connor Orr on NFL.com, and I quote, "And with Mark Trestman calling the plays, Forte won't have a difficult time learning the new playbook. Yeah, he may not be able, he may be able to learn the playbook, but that's the only thing. Does he really want to play in an offense that's run by Mark Trestman again?"
Yeah, he remembers. And we're getting to, well, it was the first year Mark Trestman's era in Chicago, or not in Chicago, in Baltimore. And that goes well. It's that second and third year where things start to kind of get off the hinge. So yeah, I don't think Matt Forte wants anything to do with that. And I don't blame him. Dallas Cowboys, I think, is interesting. I think he's going to have to do a little bit more work if he's in Dallas. But they're another team that's right there, ready to go. And they're a team that probably can pay him some money because, it's Jerry Jones. It's not like he likes managing things very well. And they have one of the better offensive lines. The whole thing about why they were willing to lose a great running back, as they said, doesn't matter who we put back there. We can put some scrub back there and they can run behind this line. Didn't quite work out well, and then Tony Romo got hurt. But I think Matt Forte could do great things behind that line, and he could help out Tony Romo a lot by letting him get the ball out of his hand quick. Then he doesn't spend, the vast majority of the season hurt on the sidelines.
See, there's another thing that I'm going to throw out into this whole Matt Forte free agency conversation. It'd be different if Matt Forte was the main back for this offseason. He's the main one right now because as of today, when we're recording the podcast, February 16th, today was the first day that teams could say, you know what, Mark, we're franchise tagging you. You're still one of us for one more year. However, there are 2, maybe 3 running backs. And I say 3 because that third one, I don't know if I want to put him up in the tier with Matt Forte and the other 2. But unless franchise tags happen, this free agency class could have Doug Martin, Chris Ivory, Matt Forte, and the guy who I was like, do I want to put him in this class? Lamar Miller from the Dolphins. So this is a running back class that, the Cowboys, they need a running back, but are they going to go for a Matt Forte, or are they going to say, hey, you know what, Jerry Jones, let's overpay for Doug Martin?
Yeah.
Let's overpay for a Chris Ivory kind of a thing. That's the one thing. Another thing that's going to hurt Matt Forte is there are other running backs in this draft class that could be vying for the same jobs that he does. Let's say the Seahawks. What if they go get Doug Martin instead of Matt Forte?
There's definitely a lot of options. And, maybe it hurts, maybe it doesn't. Maybe there's a lot of teams that feel like they need to get a guy. And I think Matt Forte probably isn't going for the job. He doesn't want to be the only guy. I'm sure he's willing to do it, but I think he knows that at this point he's going to be best served if he has kind of a complementary back out there, or he's got a few that are going to help out and reduce that load, kind of how he was doing with Jeremy Langford in Chicago. I think that's going to be the best situation, and I'm sure he knows it.
I'm going to throw out another team for you. This team has a free agent running back right now in James Starks. Could we see a move from Ted Thompson, the general manager of the Green Bay Packers, to say, I know we've got Eddie Lacy out there, but to kind of go what you said, Mark, when we were talking about the Seahawks, hey, let's go ahead and get Forte and kind of use a two-back system. Give Aaron Rodgers a pass-catching running back, have him be a mentor to Eddie Lacy, and have a two-back system between Forte and Lacy.
I don't know if the Packers need it. I mean, I don't. They were pretty good with Eddie Lacy and just Eddie Lacy at first. And I know he had that off year. Things weren't looking so great. I don't necessarily put a huge blame on Eddie Lacy for that. But the Packers also don't spend a lot of money in free agency. They don't go for the big guys. Not that Matt Forte is the biggest option out there, but they typically don't.
The last time they did anything in free agency that was big was when they went ahead and kind of pulled away Julius Jardinere-Peppers away from the Bears, just like this would be.
Yeah, and that was a guy who a lot of people were saying, ooh, he doesn't have much left in the tank. And then, he kind of proved that wrong. So that wouldn't even be a huge move in that case. So I don't know if they go for Matt Forte. It's not in the Packers' DNA to do it. I think it would be worthwhile for them because it's probably worthwhile for anybody to go grab Matt Forte. I just don't think it helps that much.
I don't think I could picture Matt Forte in a Packer uniform.
No,
I just don't think I could do it. And I think Bear fans would kind of get... I know that your team, it was one of those things where it's like, okay, we're letting you go, Matt. But I think Bear fans, some of them may just get sick to their stomach.
Yeah.
Thinking of one of your own, putting on that Packer yellow and that Packer white, the Packer green, however you want to think about it. Before we wrap this segment up, is there any team we didn't talk about that you're like, that could be a fit for Matt Forte?
I really don't think so. I mean, I think it's going to be pretty clear. The man wants to win a Super Bowl. He's never really had the opportunity to really go out there and get that Super Bowl win. He's been in a NFC conference game, but that's not the same. He wants that one extra step. He wants to get there. He's going to go to the one of the 3-4 contenders for sure. You kind of, before we started recording, kind of half-jokingly put out the Denver Broncos, but I don't think it's going to happen. Even though Gary Kubiak might not be a bad fit for a guy like Matt Forte, I just can't see it happening. I don't think that one. I don't think Matt Forte wants to go with a not proven quarterback. I think he wants to go to a Tom Brady, a Russell Wilson, a Tony Romo. He wants to go to one of these guys that he knows can, in fact, get there and win a Super Bowl. And I know I put Tony Romo in the category of guys who can get there and win a Super Bowl, but hear me out, people.
I got two teams that could be dark horses, but I don't think they're going to be seriously vying for Matt Forte or a serious option in the mind of Matt Forte. The first one is the Colts. The Frank Gore experience didn't work. I know he's still got 2 years on his contract. That comes up in 2018. However, that didn't work. Is it going to work even with Andrew Luck out there? That could be a team that tries to make a push for a Matt Forte. The other one, and this one is more of Matt Forte probably not wanting to go there because, let's be honest, they're probably not going to win the Super Bowl next year. The Houston Texans.
No, they got some issues they got to work out. They got to get a quarterback answer. I mean,
that's their number one is they need a quarterback. But I mean, with a running back, and Matt Forte could be the guy. Him, Chris Ivory, Doug Martin, they could be guys that change what we're even thinking in mock drafts because it's like, oh, okay, the Texans get a running back. Well, A, they don't need Ezekiel Elliott anymore.
Yeah, that's why we always say the early mock drafts, you got to take them with a grain of salt. But, it's just the Texans, they got to figure out the quarterback situation first because a guy like Matt Forte, yeah, you can throw Andrew Luck in the category of quarterbacks that can go and win a Super Bowl, but he wants one of those guys. He for sure wants one of them.